Professor Govind Pandey. Once again, I am with a topic, very important one for the students of television journalism. Today, I am going to discuss the 5 basic news scripts in television. As we have already discussed in the last video about piece to camera, definition of piece to camera, different types of piece to camera. And as we all know that in television journalism, a reporter has to write script, and the script is based on the timing of the news and how much time a reporter has to disseminate that news, break that news. In normal or routine reporting, we generally have 5 different types of news scripts. The number 1 is reader. This is a story which is generally read on camera by one of the anchors with no videotapes appearing on the screen while the anchor is talking. A picture or graphic may or may not be shown over the anchor's shoulder by an electronic process. Why this kind of story is entertained in television journalism? Because of the pressure of breaking a story. We know that television journalism is predominantly a visual medium, though we call it audio-visual. So if there is no video, then the television news will become a news like radio news. So for me, if you are a television journalist and if you have to break a story which is very important, there also you must look for some visual elements like animation, photographs, map, or any other way of illustrating the news so that the audience is getting visual elements in a news. Reader news is generally 70-80 words long and used for breaking a story. I am giving you example of reader news. Suppose 2 trains collided, that too in VRs. Now reporter has no time to go to the spot. So what he'll do? He'll simply call the local sources. If local sources are not available, then he'll try to contact the railway administration, because 2 trains collided simply means that railway administration is involved, police is involved. So the authentic source for this particular news is railway. So he or she can contact railway officers, railway authorities, higher railway authorities. If the local authorities are not available, then the reporter can contact the top authority. Most news departments prefer that a reader not to be very long, just 25 seconds, unless it is an extremely important story that broke late, making it impossible to get video on the air. So if it is really important, then you will see a reader story. Otherwise, it is generally avoided. A reader story is generally avoided by the television journalism. The next story type is voiceover. The voiceover or VO is similar to the reader, but it includes video. Shortly after the anchor begins a story on camera, videotape of the story appears on the screen while the anchor continues to read it. Shortly before the end of the story, the anchor is back on camera with a final sentence to wrap it up. This is commonly called tagging a story. Tag is concluding statement an anchor makes to end a story. If any anchor goes directly from one story to another, viewers may not always be aware that one story has ended and the next one has begun. But with a tag, viewers will realize the story has ended. So the first one is reader script, where the visuals of the event is not available. That's why the story is on air. But in a VO, voiceover script, the voiceover of the anchor, or if you want, you can add the voice of reporter also. Reporter can also send the story in his voice, but for editing purpose, for other purpose, anchor is sitting in the studio, and if there is any correction, then anchor can make it. Reporter can't reach to the studio. So looking at all these things, generally anchor's voiceover is taken. The third type of script is sound bite. A sound bite or a cold bite is a type of a story that includes no videotape of the story itself, but does include a brief videotape interview with someone knowledgeable about the story. So in this case also, the story is begin on camera by anchor and reads to a certain point in the script. Then someone appears on videotape making a comment relative to the story. At the end of the soundbite, the anchor reappears and tag the story before moving on to another. Fourth story type is VO bite, when we have voiceover also, bite also. So in a developing story, we know that as the time passes, VO bite or voiceover sound bite or a VO bite is the combination of the voiceover and sound bite. The story begins like a voiceover, but at some point the anchor stops reading and sound bite with someone involved in the story or knowledgeable about it appears on camera. After the sound bite, there may be more footage of the same story with the anchor continuing to narrate, or the anchor may be back on camera immediately after the bite to end the story. As with the VO and the sound bite, a VO bite should always conclude with the anchor tagging out. You can see that from reader, which has basically less information about the event and rather is used for just breaking the news. As we know that television is a headline service, so breaking the news is also important. The fifth and final story type is package. A package is completely done by a reporter, where we see several elements. Like, why a package is very important, because when we deliver a package, we are basically giving in-depth information to the viewers. A package contains piece to camera, interview, sound bite, general shot of the locality. So package has everything for giving detailed information about a particular news. Package is important in television news because we know that television news is headline service, and in television, when we say television is headline service, generally television breaks news. But we get in-depth information because the newspaper reporter gets 24 hours for digging more and more information. So television journalist hardly gets time for giving in-depth information. In order to make sure that the audience remains with a particular channel, package or this type of story is used so that the audience gets in-depth information about the event also. So news feature also plays similar role, where the information about a particular news or a developing news is given. Similarly, a package is also used to give audience in-depth information, lot of information, so that the news urge is satisfied. Friends, this was all about the 5 basic news scripts in television journalism. I hope that you must have learned many things, and you must have learned the technique also, that how to write and how to use different story types for news stories that you have in hand. Thank you very much for watching Bachpan Express. Keep watching Bachpan Express and subscribe to the Bachpan Express YouTube channel.